gentlemen. Oh, man. Wow. Oh, man, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to get it in today. Oof. First things first, welcome to CNN. I'm Kirk Kennedy, your host, the underdog. Let's go in. On this channel, we take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. Whoa, whoa, whoa. At this point, by now, most people who at least pay attention to the political ecosystem are aware of a couple of days ago, Ukrainian President Zelensky and Donald Trump, along with J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio and others from the American media, were at a meeting in the Oval Office. Many of us probably didn't watch the whole video. It's 49 minutes and some change. But we saw the clips of Trump and them going back and forth. And so this was, for all intents purposes, just from our understanding and our being the American people, right? This was a dumpster fire in many ways, right? But some of it is not for reasons that you've been told by media and or just your political leaning. So my hope is to be able to at least bring some sort of an equilibrium to what's happening with all of this, all right? So, but this was a press conference and it turned into a dumpster fire. It was back and forth. It seemed argumentative, but as you're going to see in a minute, at least from my vantage point, I don't think it was as argumentative as described. It's more, we're trained to believe it's that way because the accusation has been levied in that way. So before I jump into this, let me say one or two things for the people who may not follow my channel a lot and who I would say are so politically leaning that as soon as someone says something that you may disagree with, you're offended. Let me just say this on the front end, right? I did not vote. I do not vote. And it's not because I don't love America or anything. I'm a pastor. I'm a Christian. And I've watched over the last 8 years, from the end of Obama's second term up to this moment, I've watched the country, believers in particular, tear each other apart based on politics. Like, it's become a new thing. So I am not here offering at all. I do not have a political bone in this race. I do not have any skin in the game. I didn't care who won the presidency, not from the standpoint I don't care about the country, but as a believer, I just feel like I think about things from a spiritual warfare lens, not from a practical lens. I don't feel an obligation to give the country back to God. I feel like I believe scripture when God said in Isaiah 66:1, heaven is my throne and the earth is my footstool. So the earth is his footstool. I'm not in a rush to give him back a footstool, right? So I respect politics. I respect the stability of our country. I respect all of those things. But I definitely, like I would with anyone, I disagree with some things that have happened. So what I'm going to say today is coming from, as best as I can, a neutral position. I am not left or right. And I'm a believer, and I'm trying to honor the Lord in the way I see all of this stuff. All right? With that being said, let's talk a little bit about this what I think was a dumpster fire in many ways. But first, a couple things you got to know. All right? This is more foreign policy politics. And I think we have to realize something, that when we're talking about foreign policy, international politics, right, where countries are coming together, it's about resources. It's not about friendship. Like, countries will disagree. This is why one country will do deals with dictators who do not value democracy, none of those things, because they have resources that we need. If anyone thinks otherwise, you don't understand the geopolitical landscape, right? It's a different world when first of all, it's crazy just domestic, right? Just in America. But we're talking about foreign policy, international politics. These guys are not friends. If Russia didn't have certain things, or if America, listen, the strongest thing that America has, believe it or not, is the American dollar. Our dollar has been the global currency since the end of World War II. And that's why America attached its money to gold, and the rest of the world attached its money to America, to the US dollar, and everything, despite the fact that many nations like Russia, China, some of the Middle East, Iran, they've removed themselves and have developed a new currency with China and Russia that we thought, oh no, this is going to wipe out the dollar. It still hasn't happened. So the American dollar is the strongest. What you may not know is that a lot of these countries, the reason why our debt is so high, but why we survive, is because these foreign countries, they buy debt from America, they buy it and cash it in later. This is why our welfare system, this is how it's funded. It's these other nations will buy billions of dollars of America's debt, give us money in hopes to cash it in later. You know why they do that? Because America and American dollar is the most stable nation, right? In terms of its currency. We are the global currency still at like 59%. So foreign policy is not about friendship. It's about these guys. So we're used to seeing guys all, shucking and jiving and piling up. And we think like, oh, no, they're not friends. It's about resources, all right? The second thing you got to know before we jump into this is how the majority of people feel is going to be connected to political leanings. I have done probably more research for this video than I normally do. I watched the far right from Ben Shapiro on down. I've watched the left from the Young Turks I've heard from everyone because I wanted to see, really, I just wanted to see how wild people would be. And it's largely most people are going to react towards their political leaning. So if you're on the right, you're going to be like, how dare Zelensky? He disrespected the White House, all this stuff. And how dare. And if you're on the left, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, Trump and JD Vance, this was a trap. They ran. All this stuff is going to happen. So just keep in mind when you're listening to people talk, it's quite possible, and I'm not saying this to build myself up at all. I'm a flawed man. But it's quite possible that you're going to hear the most balanced take from me. And I hate that, that's pretty wild, but it's quite possible because most people are going to respond during their political leanings. All right. A couple of some backdrop that you should know before we assess this video. All right. Because we are going to watch portions of it with some timestamps that I have. And I want you to pay attention, see if you can see what I'm saying. And then I'm going to sort of walk you through what happened. And then I'm going to conclude with what I think is a biblical position that I have. How do I respond to these things as a believer? When I'm watching it, because no matter what, I'm a believer. If you're a Christian, you got to figure out how am I going to respond to this, all right? How do I think about these things? But you get a couple things you should know first before we get into this, all right? One of the reasons why this meeting was a crazy meeting, right? So let me give you sort of from the Zelensky side. This is why this meeting was crazy coming from his angle. All right, Zelensky supposedly, and I think I'm saying supposedly because I wasn't there, but the reality is he met with Democratic politician Chris Murphy, who essentially told him not to trust Trump and take any mineral deal from Donald Trump. I mean, and keep in mind, you have to understand, the last 4 years, the Biden office, administration was in the White House, they were the ones that were dealing with Zelensky and all of it. So he had a rapport and a relationship, and he got a ton of money. In the video, Trump's going to say, they gave you $350 million. It wasn't. It was $175 billion, not $350 billion. It was $175 billion. And some people say, well, it was $149 billion in military stuff. That's still a lot of money. That's more money than we've given to NASA and other programs in our country. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. So, but he was told by Democratic politician Chris Murphy and a group of other guys, and obviously in our country, please know that the whole idea of bipartisanship has been decimated. It's been decimated. And I believe it started personally at the end of Obama's second campaign. When he, after gay marriage got passed, and then in 2016, his last year in office, he went on a rampage trying to tell school systems in the country that if they don't allow, this is the wild part, the T of the LGBT, they weren't even like that big yet. They didn't start really blowing up and start making their presence known until like 2017 when they really started being like, it's about us. We're the capital letter of that acronym, right? And that's when all the QIA stuff came in. Well, in 2016, Obama was telling school systems that if they don't let people use bathrooms that they identify with, they're going to withhold federal funding. And so counties across the country were countersuing the federal government. This is what happened in 2016. You know what that led to? Republicans doubling down and getting Donald Trump. Don't let the smooth taste fool you. It's not like, oh, they were white supremacists. It's more complicated than that. You had Obama was wilding at the end of his second term, and then you think you're going to bring Hillary Clinton in? So even though Trump was like, he touches women's crotches. Remember that? When he got caught with Billy Bush on that video, and he was like, oh, it's just locker room talk. And everyone thought Trump is done, because I was during the height of the Me Too movement. Everyone thought Trump was done. And they said, it's reported that Hillary Clinton lost her mind when she found out he actually won. Republicans were moving away from Trump. They were like, he's done, because everyone thought, oh, they heard that videotape, that audio tape, it's a wrap, and he won. And the reason why he won, they're going to say, oh, conservative Christians. You know why conservative Christians got behind that? Because the Obama administration started going AWOL. So now you bring in a guy who's a bull in a china closet, who's not a politician, and who's going to go after the opposite side, and bipartisanship left. There was a point where politicians would say, hey, I'm running because I can work on both sides of the aisle. You don't hear that language anymore. It's gone. All right. So apparently Zelensky came to this meeting already tense, a little bit, a little irritable. One, because of what I'm about to tell you now, but two, because of meeting with Chris Murphy, Democratic Chris Murphy, and other who said, do not take the deal, don't trust him, right? But here's the other side of it. That's the Zelensky side. Here's the other side. Trump administration offered Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, a minerals deal. Like, they wanted minerals. I think it was $500 billion mineral deal without any certainty of security should Russia attack. So basically, they said, listen, we're going to offer you, we want $500 billion of your minerals. All right. This is all stuff you can verify. I have no political leaning. You can verify all of this. It was $500 billion of the minerals that Ukraine has without any certainty of security should Russia attack. So basically, give us $500 billion and that's it. And Zelensky was like, well, what do we get for the $500 billion? And there was a sense, well, we were already giving you $175 billion. It was like, we know, we appreciate that, but just giving you, why you giving me $175 billion? Why are you asking for $500 billion? Here's the other catch. Here's the other kicker with this. This is all information that's helpful to process why this became what it did. Here's the other, the reality. The mineral rights deal was largely about lithium, okay? And lithium is the main mineral that becomes batteries that go into Teslas. This is all fact. And Tesla, which belongs to Elon Musk. Keep in mind that the federal government just did a deal with Doge, D-O-G-E, an Elon Musk company, to spend $400 million on using Elon Musk's Cybertruck as government vehicles. So this is kind of wild stuff, right? This is wild stuff. So I'm not saying I'm just giving you the facts. But the mineral rights deal is really about lithium. And here's the reality. Trump will say, like, hey, this is good for the American people. And on one level, it's true, but really it's good for corporations. They take these batteries, so they make our cell phones and different things that maybe that's better for us. I do photography. This is my baby girl right here. You know it. I got lithium batteries right here, right? So we need lithium. But who else needs lithium? Tesla needs them a ton. So this conversation, they come together, and what happened was Trump administration sent him the deal, Zelensky. He didn't want to do it. They didn't want it. He asked for a press conference. Zelensky did. He asked for the press conference. Trump and them sent him the deal 2 weeks ago, maybe? And then he asked for a press conference, all right? So this is all some backdrop as you get into it. Last point before we look at some of the video footage. This is what you're going to see, and this is what I feel like media, maybe the left sees this, but this is what I feel like. I haven't seen anybody say what I'm about to say. There's a couple things I'm going to say that I was surprised. I haven't seen people who were just way smarter than me. There are people just run circles around me politically, but I was like, wow, how can you not see this? But I guess I don't have any skin in the game. I don't trust the left or the right, so I'm just watching this and saying, this is what I'm seeing. But I was surprised that, one, so much of Trump's presidency, these first 35, 36 days, and even this meeting is about doing the opposite of Biden. Watch how many times we see there's a jab at Biden. He's unintelligent, stupid. It's so much of this meeting was about undoing, and that's what politics has become. This is why we see all this stuff happening, all these government people getting fired, all this stuff, because politics has turned into not what is good for the American people, but what is good for the party who's in charge. And what's good for the party who's in charge is to try to undo everything that the other party did. Now, some of those things, they need to be undone, no question. But some of this stuff is just chaos, because so much of it, and you're going to see this, you're going to see it yourself. Watch how often, hopefully we get, because we're not going to watch all the videos, 49 minutes, but watch how often Trump takes a jab at Biden or JD Vance. It's like they have nothing to do with this deal right now. Just talk about the deal, but it's because so much of their thinking is about denigrating the Biden administration, which there are some reasons why they should do that. I mean, let's not forget that the Biden administration tried to let Joe Biden run for a second term when all of us could see that this dude didn't even know where he was in press conferences. How in the world do you say you love the country and you're going to try to promote a man who can't find the bathroom? And then and Kamala Harris, the only reason why that's our girl. No, she wasn't. She disappeared. That's not anger. I just knocked over my cup. My water bottle. Sorry, I'm passionate. But you bring in Kamala Harris as if like, oh, that's our gal. No, it wasn't. It was because the PAC money, all the millions of dollars that they had was for the Biden campaign. She was a part of the original campaign and a part of the second one. If she wouldn't have ran, they would have lost all those millions of dollars and there was no way they would have recovered, and they still lost by a pimp slap. So, all right, having said that, this video started to go wrong at 9 minutes and 45 seconds. All right, so now we're going to go watch some of this. I'm going to scrub through certain things. I'm just going to comment and show you what I'm talking about. And then I'm going to just walk you through you're going to see this play out. And this is just my observations. You can disagree. I totally get it. You can disagree. I have no political skin in the game. I didn't vote left or right. I'm not voting again. And if it's sinful, then Jesus will tell me I'm not going to get some rewards because I ain't vote. But I have no skin in the game. This is just an observation. And they're going to be tried. I'm thinking as a believer, not as a left or right. All right? Having said that, let's go and watch some of this video. And I'm going to play a little bit and then tell you what's happening. So it starts to go wrong at 9 minutes and 45 seconds. Up to this point, and let me just say this, and this might shock some of you. Let me say this now, and at the risk of some of you clicking off and being like, I can't listen anymore. I actually think Trump was the grown-up in this meeting. I think the left media so hates Trump that they are blind. This dude was chilling the vast majority of this meeting. Like all the clips that you've seen where they're going at it, that was the last 9 minutes. The first 40 minutes, Trump was chilling. Like but there's a deeper issue going on, and I'm going to explain to you. And this is what I don't think the left or the right are going to be honest and say. But from the cheap seats, Trump is not at fault in this meeting. He was a grown-up the whole time until, and we'll show you that point. But here's where it started to go left, and I'll explain why. Watch closely.
And this puts us in great shape.
And on long-term security for Ukraine.
I think they're going to have great luck. I think once we make the agreement, that's going to be 95% of it. They're not going to go back to fighting. I've spoken with President Putin, and I feel very strong. I've known him for a long time, and I feel very strongly that they're very serious about it, and we'll make a deal. And when the deal is made, I don't think we talk about security. Everyone's talking about the other day. All they talked about was security. I said, let me make the deal first. I have to make the deal first. I don't worry about security right now. We have to have a deal, because right now, last week, 2,000 soldiers died on both sides. 2,000, and they're losing 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 a week. So as we sit here and we talk, people are getting shot and dying on the battlefield. And, they're not American soldiers, but they're Russian soldiers and they're Ukrainian soldiers, and we want to be able to stop it. And we want to be able also to spend money on other things. We don't want to, this is a tremendous amount of money. And what the Biden administration did was terrible. They were giving money, but they had no security on the money. Europe, as you know, gave much less money, but they had security. It was in the form of a loan.
I'm going to make sure you see what's going on here. Let me tell you why I started to go left right here. Remember back in 2017 when there was, remember when the white supremacists, the alt-right movement was marching in Charlottesville, the Jews will not replace us, the Jews will not replace us, and there were other people marching against them. Remember that guy drove like a car through the crowd and unalived at least one person. Remember that? And then they had Trump saying, well, there were good people on both sides, and the media tore that up. They tore it up. Here's what happened. When Trump said, he was being honest. This was true. Like, you got to remember, Trump he's just there. He's a deal maker. He's not there on any side, at least in the presentation. He's on someone's side depending on what media you listen to. But Trump made a statement that was true. He said, look, there are people on both sides getting killed. There are people on both sides getting killed. In a second, you're going to see like Zelensky does not like that. He does not, because Trump's language is not, it's not unified enough with him. Like, so you heard him talk about, look, we tried to make a deal and they're asking for security. And I just said, let me make the deal first. But the deal initially didn't offer security. That was the point. That's why they didn't want to sign it. We're going to give you $500 billion in lithium so you can take these minerals and that seemingly may be so that Tesla can have batteries. But like, what about us? So that's why that he's saying that. But then remember, he says the Biden administration, he goes right for Biden, right? But it starts to go left because Trump's language here is talking like, hey, both sides are being killed. And watch this. The next clip that we watch, Zelensky's not having it. He doesn't like that because he feels like, hey, I don't like this. Watch this.
They get their money back, and we didn't. And now, at least we're protected because the American taxpayer has to be protected too. But this is an incredible agreement for Ukraine because we have a big investment in their country now, and what they have, very few people have. And we're able to really go forward with very, very high-tech things and many other things, including weaponry that we're going to use in many locations, but that we need for our country. This allows us to do that.
So you heard what he said. They have many things, high-tech things and all that. That's what the minerals give. He wants the minerals because they give you batteries and different things like that, right? So this is the backdrop that we don't know about unless you heard what I said earlier, all right? But here's where, here's Zelensky's response to this. Watch this.
Military aid. Yes, go ahead, please.
If I can just, yes. In the document, there is one of the very important points if we speak about business and investment. We never had LNG terminals in Ukraine. This document will open. I mean, the next document, but anyway, here we see in the framework, we see a really goodwill for this. LNG terminals for us is very important, and I think for security of European continent. We have the biggest storage, gas storage. We have the biggest in Europe. Yes, yes, and we can use it. Use it for LNG. Use it for LNG, and we will do it. And really, we can help Europe because Europe really helped. President Trump said that they made less support, but they are our friends and they are our very supportive partners. They really gave a lot, Mr. President. They did.
They gave a lot, but they gave much less.
No.
Much less.
No. No.
No. Okay.
So look, right there, let me tell you something. Trump, this was actually the most presidential I've seen Trump be. I think the left media is tripping. Like, you see, he was joking with him. No, we gave more money. You know, Trump wants to, he's boastful. He always wants to boast about what he's done and who he is and how he's different, right? But he was joking with him. He even gave him like a little dap after that. This was not, even though they had some behind the scenes issues that we talked about, Trump was on his game for real. Like this, I don't get the problem, but we'll see where it happens. Here's where it starts to make a turn. Listen to what Trump says at I'm gonna take us to the 1357 mark. And this is where Trump starts to make some statements that Zelensky really struggles with, all right? And Trump is going to double down again on this perspective that, like, both sides are getting killed. The parents, think about the parents, and watch Zelensky's face, and then watch what he says right after this. Look at this.
Taking place as we speak, and I don't want to have that. You know, think of the parents, think of the whether they're in Russia or Ukraine, think of the parents of all these people being killed needlessly.
They came to our territory.
Should have never started.
Did you see what happened? Trump says, think of the parents of the kids that are getting killed, right? Think of the parents. And then Zelensky chimes in, they came to our territory, right? This was an underlying theme for him. Now, I don't know if, you got to keep in mind, Zelensky's been dealing with Democrats for the last few years. Trump comes in, he's not sure if Trump's going to get his back or not. He met with Chris Murphy, Democrats who said don't trust Trump. And so he's listening. If you watch Zelensky's face a lot, he's really just like, I don't know him enough to know what his facial expressions mean, but you can tell like he doesn't like what's being said. So right here, he jumps in and says, they came to our country. Like he's trying to make a point. Why are you talking about their parents and their soldiers dying? They came to our country. And he's right. He's right. But Trump is not Biden. He's not there to be like, we got your back and we're going to. That's not what Trump is doing. Trump's like, look, I'm trying to make a deal. Look, Trump wants to go down in history a certain way. He doesn't really care about any of this apart from what does America get and what will his legacy be? And it even comes up later kind of as a joke. But this is what's happening. Zelensky is not feeling the ecumenical language, right? And then I'm gonna fast forward a little bit to 1510 where he's going to double down on this reality. Zelensky is going to double down on like, look, man, like basically you keep saying this like they came to our territory, bro. Like he's almost saying like this isn't an equal thing. Like Trump's talking like the parents of both sides and Zelensky's like, look, they came to our territory. Listen.
It's important for us, yes. And Putin, the president speaks about the people and the soldiers which are dying, but they came to our territory, they came to our land. They began this war, and they have to stop. And I think this is the question with really the most important question. Can President Trump, I hope yes, with some other allies to stop Putin, withdraw these enemies, our enemy, withdraw these troops from our land?
That's Zelensky's whole issue. He's like, look, they came to our land, our territory. They came to our land. They started this war. He doesn't like the fact that Trump is like, hey, people on both sides are dying. Just like back in the day, the left hated when Trump said there are decent people on both sides with the alt-right and then the people who were... Trump does that. You know why? It's not, I don't think... People say, well, because Trump's a racist. Maybe. But I don't think that's why Trump says that stuff. He says it because Trump, I don't think you realize this. Well, I'm not saying you use of like, I know something you don't. I'm more figure of speech. Trump is a fear of man. He struggles with fear of man mightily. All right. Let me make sure you see my face when I say this. Trump struggles with fear of man. If I was his pastor, I would say, brother, you care too much about what people think. Remember when Saul, 1 Samuel 15, Saul was told by Samuel to kill the Amalekites, Agag, kill everyone, don't take any spoil, nothing. And then Saul keeps King Agag alive and the sheep and all this stuff and spoil. And when Samuel shows up, he says, we've done the will of the Lord. And he was like, what is the bleating of sheep I hear, right? And then he ended up getting disciplined for that. And then he said, I feared the people. That's why I did that. I didn't listen to God. I feared the people more than God. Trump struggles with fear of man. He acts like I don't care what people think. That's just not true. Trump is always, I'm the best at this. I have this. He really struggles with fear of man. If I were his pastor, that's what you got to help him with. People think he's a narcissist. Yeah, because it may be, but narcissists need people's approval. Trump does care about what people think, and that's why he makes a lot of these statements. That's why he compares himself all the time and wants people to think his legacy, I've had the biggest crowds ever. No, you haven't. No, you didn't. But that's the type of stuff that they say. He struggles with fear of man a lot. All right, so Zelensky's pushing back, and now we need to go a little further, a couple minutes up. We're going to go to 18 minutes and 10 seconds, and this is what I'm talking about. Listen to how, remember, this conversation is about between Russia and solving this crisis, and watch how it turns into the election. This is what I mean. This is what I'm talking about.
Could lead to a third world war. This was headed in the wrong direction. If this election were lost, if we didn't win this election, and we won it by a lot, that was a mandate. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote by millions and millions of votes. We won everything. The districts, you look at the areas of red, take a look at a map. This was a big mandate, and this was one of the things I said, we're going to get this thing settled. If we didn't win, I think this could have very well ended up in a third world war, and that would not have been a good situation. What was your second?
So here's the reality, right? So that was right media, and then you're going to hear this question that really makes everything go left. This, what we're about to watch in a couple seconds, at the 18-minute and 45-second, this question, his name is Brad. Apparently, this is Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend, who's a Republican congresswoman who is wilding, who is just wild. She says she's a Christian. I don't know, fam. I don't know her enough to know. I'm not big on people just because they say they're believers. Man, love believes all things, but we ain't supposed to lack discernment either, right? So he asked this question. His name is Brad from One Nation Media. He asked this question to Zelensky. But right before that, Trump was like, yeah, Biden, we won a landslide, this and that. Like, why are you talking about that right now? Fam, you won. You're sitting here in the White House. There should be no more conversations about that you won big. That should be over. But you know why he can't let that go? It's not just because he's a narcissist. Trump struggles with fear of man. He wants people to, and that's why he'll make these statements like, yeah, people on both sides. It's not because he's a racist, or it's because he wants people on all sides to like him. But I digress. Here's the question that's asked, and watch what happens here, and you'll see the hypocrisy. This is what I mean. This is why I don't trust politics and people and right and left. Listen to this question that gets asked. Watch this exchange, and then we're going to think about why this is a crazy thing to ask the president of Ukraine.
And my second question for President Zelensky now: why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest. Why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest level in this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if do you own a suit?
Yeah, problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not
Really?
respecting
I
the
don't have
dignity of this
such-
office.
I will wear a costume after this war will finish.
Okay.
Yes, maybe one.
Maybe something like this.
something like
Yes,
yours.
sir.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Maybe something better. I don't know. We will see. Maybe something cheaper than yeah.
All right, so let me make sure you understand what just happened. So Brad from One Nation Media, who is Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend, I think I spelled her name wrong in the thing, but I don't really care. He says, why don't you wear a suit, right? And guess what happens? You hear people laughing. You hear the media laughing. American right-wing media are laughing. Then he says, do you own a suit? Right? And then he says the American people are offended that you're in the highest office in the land and you're not wearing a suit. If you're a believer, you get it, right? Jesus was reviled and didn't revile in return. But we're not Jesus. Think about what just happened. You are talking to the president of a nation. You are a reporter from One Nation Media dating a popular woman that a lot of people don't like, whose character is questionable, and you're going to say to the president of another country, don't you own a suit? Then you get the people laughing. As a man, just as a man, Zelensky, this dude, is a military guy. This dude, honestly, let me just be transparent with you, right? I'm an ex-street dude. I'm an ex-gangster, right? I was facing 43 years in prison, and I'm grateful to the Lord didn't do it. I was an ex-street dude. Now I'm not. That's not my life. But the temptation sometimes is still there. Man, I would have wanted to smack this dude like, you soft report. Like, man, who you talking to, man? I'm the president of Ukraine. You work for a news media company. You over here cracking jokes about what I'm wearing, right? Telling them like, oh, why aren't you wearing a suit, right? But then he says the American people are offended. Huh? So Elon Musk wasn't in the White House doing a press conference with a red MAGA hat, a blazer, and a t-shirt on with his little son, little X. Mind you, this dude has 14 kids, right? He just acknowledged his 14th kid. You got a dude who doesn't reflect any of the morals that the Christians who voted for Trump, right? In the White House, nobody says nothing. But you're going to say something about Zelensky? And then you're a flunky from One Nation Media? Like, who are you, fam? You couldn't be in his shoes and be leading the country like he is. The hypocrisy and the arrogance, but this is all, this is what happens because there's a reason why he said that. There's a reason why, and I'm going to explain to you. There's something that I feel like no other media outlet, at least that I've seen, is willing to say. That was a statement that was intended to do something, and you'll see what I mean in a moment. But so you're mocking this dude's clothes. This dude's dead. So he said, look, I got more serious things to talk about. I'm not worried. I'll wear a suit. And he tried to push back. He was like, maybe I'll get one better than the one you have, right? Fam, you don't insult a president of a country. That's not what you do, even if you disagree with their politics. That's fake news right there. But I digress. All right. Let's keep it moving. We're going to go a couple more minutes ahead because it's just so dumb, right? That's just the dumbest statement, all right? But here's what's funny, right? Here's what Trump says. Listen to what Trump says about that. This is what I'm telling you. Listen, don't get it twisted. Trump was, for the first 40 minutes, man, he was presidential. He was not, I'm telling you, all these people like, they attacked, he did it. Watch, well, you'll see. I mean, maybe you think I'm wrong. That's fine. Listen, I don't care for Trump. I care for him as a human being because he's made in God's image, and if he dies, he's going to spend eternity without God. In that sense, I care, and we'll get to that later. But in terms of, I don't have any political leanings. I don't look to Trump. But he was doing his thing. Trump was chilling for the first 40 minutes. We're going to show you where it really kicked off. But I think the leftist media is wilding. Trump was not the aggressor in this conflict. But keep in mind, remember this, that why don't you wear a suit to Zelensky? That we're going to come back to that statement and see, because that was intended to do something. But let's go a little forward we're going to go up a couple. Listen to what Trump says about Zelensky's dress. Listen to how Trump talks about it. Listen to this right here. So after the reporter says that, listen to what Trump says right here. Watch this.
A lot of that money away, and you see what happened, and that's a real mess also that we hope to be able to solve. But no, I appreciate your question very much. I feel I have an obligation to try and do something to stop the death.
If I can answer. Yes, if I can answer, sorry. Please.
And I do like your clothing, by the way.
Yeah, really?
Even though I think he's a great guy, by the way. But I don't know if you two like each other. But you know what? I think
I like this guy.
I think he's dressed beautifully.
So you hear Trump. Trump's like, look, I think he's dressed beautifully. I like his outfit. Trump wasn't, I'm telling you, man, listen. Trump was chilling. Like, he wasn't aggressive. Like, this thing was, he was like, look, I like your clothes. He said, I think he's dressed beautifully. I think you and this guy don't like each other. That reporter, I think, said this for a reason, all right? All right, I'm going to fast forward now to the scene of the crime that many of you have seen. We're going to fast forward to 39 minutes and 56 seconds because there's a lot more I could say, but let's get to the juicy part. Here's where things just jump out the window, right? I'm talking about, remember that kid who was listening to Paul preach and fell out the window 3 stories up and died, and Paul brought him back to life? They just fell out the window, and watch what happens. And I'm telling you, if you go back and watch this, for the first 40 plus minutes, Trump was chilling. I'm sorry. You can say what you want. You can say whatever you want. Trump was chilling. He was presidential. He was really he was joking. He was like, look, I like the guy. He was chilling. Now, keep in mind, remember that reporter who said, why don't you wear a suit? We're going to come back to that statement because I'm going to show you what I think is happening, all right? But here we're going to go forward. We're going to go to 39 minutes, and because this is when everything turns left, all right? I'm going to go back a little bit before that. Here we go.
It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred, and I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
Hey, I will respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
All right, so let me make sure you understand what's happening here. What J.D. Vance just did, this is when it turned left, but he didn't do anything wrong technically. J.D. Vance, the vice president, said, let me chime in, because he's pushing back against this notion, because you got to remember, these people they're anti-media unless it's their media, unless it's Fox or media that they know. They're anti-media. So what he said, listen to what he said. He said, look, Russia invaded and destroyed a good bit of this country. So he acknowledges Russia was the aggressor. They destroyed a good bit of Ukraine. And what we're trying to do is do this diplomatically. We're trying to handle it diplomatically. Because throughout, there was sort of a back and forth of Zelensky pushing back. And we're about to watch a clip where Zelensky pushes back a little bit. And I'm going to be honest with you. I thought Zelensky, you could tell he seemingly, because I don't know the dude, but he seemingly looked irritable at times. He didn't like that Trump was trying to make it seem like, hey, everybody's dying. He was like, nah, they invaded us. Like, I don't care if they're dying. They invaded our country, right? This is what's happening. So then it gets to J.D. Vance saying that, and he doesn't say anything necessarily bad. He's actually pushing back against the media, not necessarily anything that, unless there's some tongue-in-cheek type stuff, but he's pushing back against the media and saying this is what we're trying to do it diplomatically. But then here's what Zelensky does, and if you're on the right, you're going to say this is disrespectful. If you're on the left, you're not. And I'll tell you what I think as you watch it, after we watch it. Here we go.
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact line?
2015.
2014.
2014 and 2015.
2014.
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
That's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. That people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversations, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What?
All right, so think about this. JD says, look, we're trying to handle this diplomatically, right? Listen to Trump. Trump is not doing nothing. Trump is just chilling. He's not necessarily disagreeing. Like, because, you know, when Trump disagrees, he's going to say something. Trump listened, and Zelensky was reasonable. He's basically saying, look, you're saying it's being diplomatic. He may have taken that comment personally because, again, as I said at the beginning of the video, there was some behind-the-scenes stuff that we didn't know about when we were watching this for the first time, right? We know about these things now. But he just basically basically says, look, what did every time Vladimir says he's going to sign a ceasefire or do these things, he doesn't do it. We've tried all these different angles. So what diplomacy are you referring to? Zelensky was calm. He seemed like because he feels like we've been diplomatic and he didn't do it. From 2014 to 2022, when they officially invaded, we didn't do anything. We tried to meet with him and all of that, and he still went his own way. So basically, he's disagreeing. I think he's pushing back, but he was doing it respectfully. All right. Here's where everything jumps out the window, and this is where I believe, honestly, that many people are being led by the media of their political leanings, because that was not a bad exchange. Even J.D. Vance, he was a little animated, but he was pushing back against the media. Zelensky said, can I say something? Trump was like, go ahead. And Trump was chilling. He was chilling. But then watch what happens now. So now J.D. Vance is about to talk. Now watch what happens.
What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
All right, let me just show you what happened just now, right? So he says, hey, just what diplomacy are you talking about? What are you referring to? And then he says, with all due respect, right? First of all, I mean, I know this is how people talk. I talk with my hands too. But I mean, you're talking to world leaders. First of all, be careful, like pointing at people, right? Like you would. I mean, again, it's a style thing. I just think, man, you're still president of a country. J.D. Vance could not lead Ukraine through the war he's going through. We just gotta respect that, right? But he was like, look, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and litigate this in front of the media. All he was asking for was clarity. Like, what do you mean? Because this is the thing, this is the problem. Zelensky, whether it was told by Chris Murphy and the Democrats that he met with prior to this meeting, that he came in believing a Democratic narrative and was viewing everything, which is highly likely, because Trump, I'm telling you, Trump was chilling. He wasn't aggressive or nothing. He was low key, right? And I'm gonna explain what I think happened in a second. It was J.D. Vance who said that, which usually vice presidents don't even talk in this type of stuff. But this is a different administration. You wouldn't have a dude like Elon Musk in the Oval Office giving press conferences with his son, saying stuff to Trump. That's a whole different thing. Have y'all seen what Little X was saying to Trump in the White House? Did you see that stuff he was saying to him? Oh, that's a whole different conversation. All right. But then J.D. Vance, he escalates it. He says, you're being disrespectful, right? Says you're being disrespectful, and you're not saying thank you to the American people. Now, I'll just be honest. I've seen him he thanked them a couple times. He talks very low. He's not, and his English is his second language. There were times when he was reacting. Watch when Trump gets turned up. Watch, he's not understanding even what Trump is saying, because there are American. He's going to say this part. You don't have the cards to play with. He said, I'm not playing with cards. This is not a game. That's not, Trump doesn't mean you're playing, but he doesn't understand because his English is his second language, right? Or maybe his third language. I don't know. But like, there's a lot going. But J.D. Vance escalates it to disrespect, and you haven't said thank you. There was nothing that I think Zelensky did that was disrespectful. He didn't agree with everything, but why does he have to? His country's war-torn. J.D. Vance used to be a laid-back, he was a gump for real, and now you like Mr. like, you know, what you've been working out in the gym or something, right? So I just think he advanced the issue, and then it really went left. And then he challenged him like, hey, have you been to Ukraine? And it's funny because J.D. Vance like, I've seen the reports. It's like, but you guys don't even trust media. You don't even believe in media. So it was just interesting that J.D. Vance was the one who actually lit this up. And then let's see what happens.
I have been to. I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military?
We have problems.
And do you think that it's
I will
respectful
answer.
to come to the Oval Office
I
of
will
the United
answer.
States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
Listen, I don't know if y'all seeing what I'm seeing, right? But to tell Zelensky that he brings people to his nation and is taking them on a propaganda tour? Slim, this is war. A propaganda. You don't say nothing negative about Russia. You're telling this dude he's bringing people on a propaganda tour. What's propaganda about showing you buildings being destroyed and people dying? Russia took 10,000 children and brought them to Russia. These people will never see these kids again. This is to call it propaganda, and then to say you disrespect the Oval Office. J.D. Vance is tripping right now. I don't know who. Well, let me tell you what I think. There's a reason why I think he's saying all this. I think he's wilding right now. You could disagree with me. I don't care. This is I don't have any skin in the game. I think he's wilding right now. He's escalating it, and Zelensky is really, I need the U.S. He's not going to say nothing crazy, but he's also a leader of a country. You're not going to just go in. What you want that dude to be down there rubbing his leg or something and shining his shoes? Nah, man, this is a man, and he's a leader of a country. And J.D. Vance, a year ago wasn't nobody but a dude who wrote a book called Hillbilly Elegy, right? So again, but J.D. Vance he's making it disrespect. He's not being disrespectful. And so the media that's latching on to the disrespect, I think you're just being bamboozled. You may not like what you want him to say, I agree with everything you say about my country, comrade, and so please. What do you expect him to say, fam? This dude was like, okay, can you give me clarity? So I just feel like they're blowing that out of proportion. Just like I think they're blowing the Trump act. Trump was chilling, all right, even up to this point. But this is where now enter the Donald, all right? Here we go.
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know that.
bless. You will not have the war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on
position
this
to
question.
dictate that.
That's exactly
Remember
what
that.
you're doing.
Not
You're in
dictate.
no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
I don't know if you caught it, but when he said you're in no position to dictate, you hear J.D. Vance in the background. He was like, that's exactly what he's doing, right? You're in no position. That's exactly what he's doing. So he's accusing him of that. Listen, when you say you're trying to dictate, that's a dangerous statement because that's a motive issue, right? You're basically saying, I know what you're trying. I know your heart motive. And J.D. Vance is like, that's exactly what he's trying to do. And that just changes things, right? Changes things. So let's keep going.
We're going to feel very
You will
good.
feel influence.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the very
bad position,
beginning
and he
of the
happens
war.
to be right about
From the
it.
very beginning.
Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I think Trump is still being calm. Trump is still being calm. He's like, look, you're not in a good position. And that's true, fam. I'm still trying. I mean, I know how the media is. Look, I don't got no skin in the game. I don't trust or bang with Trump, but man, I'm going to call it how I see it, right? Trump is still like, listen, you're not in a good position. Don't try to listen. We're here. He's not like really trying to flunk him the way Trump normally does, right? He's just being honest with me. He's still somewhat calm, but Zelensky's like, he's also a leader too. He ain't gonna just let you just talk to him any old kind of way. These are still men, right? Let's keep going.
Beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a
Brown,
good position.
I
You don't
was
have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing
cards.
cards.
Right now, you don't.
You see what I'm saying? You don't have the cards right now. What did Zelensky say? I'm not playing cards. He doesn't even understand the colloquialism. That's not. He wasn't saying you're playing a game. It was a euphemism. You don't have the card. He's like, I'm not playing with cards. Like he's in a different space. You got to think he's in American media with a different president. It's really fascinating. It's really wild when you put other things in context. But let's keep going. We're almost done with this part, and then I'm going to give you how I'm responding as a believer.
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
what do you think
You're
about-
gambling with
what do you
World
think
War
about-
III.
Now, that's where Trump started to turn up. And I think that's kind of a dangerous statement. Because here's the thing you have to realize, too. When he says, look, you don't have the truth, all this stuff, like Russia's watching this. So you're giving Russia intel. Watch this. Watch what Trump's... You start giving Russia intel because of this. They're watching this, and they're loving this situation. Let me show you what I mean. Watch.
And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's back to you. Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? This
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please.
Fam, do you see what I'm saying? Do you see what just happened? He said, you went to Pennsylvania to campaign with the opposition. Basically, you campaigned with the Biden administration, with the Democrats, against us. Like, what does that have to do? Like, why would Zelensky campaign against the administration that has been giving him billions of dollars to fight off Ukraine, right? I'm just saying it's just logical. Who else would do that? Like, I wouldn't be like, okay, well, thanks for the money. I hope y'all lose. Like, no. And JD, this is what I mean. When I said this earlier in the pod, what I said this earlier was this. Well, we got real brother in this joint. Let me bite this down. Come on, man. What you doing, bro? Like, the thing is, this was really about Biden to them. They're still offended at that. Like, why do you care that he campaigned when those are the people that are giving him money? That's the stuff that I think, like, nah, bro. I mean, I get it because on a political level, but that's like I don't think anybody would do that. You would want the people who were still giving you money to win so they can still give you money, because you don't know if the people who win in their place don't give them money, right? It's a crazy scene, all right? It's a crazy scene, but maybe it's me.
You think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No,
Can
you've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet.
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this
We
cabinet.
gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid
thank you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
We gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about
If you didn't have
You see what I mean? So he's like, you got $350 million from this stupid president. It's always going. That's what's happening. It's just, Trump needs to let it go, bro. You won, fam. You're in the White House. Like, let that go. Like, this stupid. And then he was like, look, you voted for the president. Zelensky's like, look, I didn't. Zelensky's getting. This is what I'm trying to say. Here's what media is not going to say. There's one thing they're not going to say. And I'm going to say one more thing I think they're not going to say. JD Vance and Trump are reacting to his getting support from Biden and them as if it's his fault. Like, what do you expect him to do? That's why he was like, look, you voted, you got, like, I didn't choose the president. That's what he's trying to say. I didn't choose him. You guys chose your president. Like, he said, it's not my fault that he was the president. I'm going to get help from the United States. I don't care who's the president. This is and they're open getting offended as if he did something wrong. What was he supposed to do? Like, all right, well, I'm going to wait 2 years until the new administration is in and they ask for help. Like, American people, this is why I mean, like, where's the humanity at? Like, why are you making it seem like this dude did the wrong thing? It's always about, like, and that's what's wrong with our country. The bipartisanship is over. It's all about vengeance. It's all vengeance. Politics, if I summed it up in one word, American politics and American media, it's vengeance. It's all vengeance. And vengeance is mine, said the Lord, not us. But I'm almost done, and then I'm going to tell you why I think they wanted Trump to turn up.
have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
you invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days. This is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks. Of course,
It's
yes.
going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I tell you.
Just say thank you.
I said a lot of times
that there,
thank you
except
to
that,
American people.
Except that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong.
Just say thank you, right? Just say thank you. He said that 3 times. If you watch the beginning of the video, Zelensky starts off by thanking them and thanking America. And he said it a ton of times. That's not what was happening. They painted a picture of him not being thankless. And maybe he is. Maybe they're going off of other things. I think they're offended because they know he met with the Democrats and he didn't take the mineral deal. But I also think Zelensky is entitled, and I get why you want help, but I think he's entitled. I think he showed up to this meeting and he was entitled. The Democrats just gave him whatever. And just as a sign of solidarity, you just gave him whatever, and Trump's not going to do that. And you got to understand your deal. So Zelensky came there kind of entitled and then really was offended that, no, don't try to paint the narrative. Trump is allowed to say, look, there's people on both sides dying and I'm trying to bring an end to it. He doesn't have to say only the Ukraine, because let's be clear, just like in any country's military, when you're in the military, you have to fight whether you can't say that all the Russian soldiers are complicit. They're doing what they have to do. When my brother went to the first Persian Gulf War, when we first invaded Iraq, and like he didn't want to go. There was a ton of people who didn't want to go, but we had to because you're in the military. You, Uncle Sam, owe him. You got to go. There's Russian soldiers that don't want to go and fight. There were people protesting in Russia too against Putin, but we don't see Russia media because we're not really hip with that. So like, I think it wasn't wrong for Trump to say that. And Zelensky wanted to make it seem like because they invaded, there should be no sympathy for the people that died. And I get it. You lost thousands of children. No, I get it. On one level, I get it. Obviously, I've never been through it to say, but I see where it's at. But I just think he was entitled. But let me tell you what, J.D. Vance, and remember the reporter, why don't you wear a suit? The hypocritical, because you didn't say nothing about Elon Musk dressing the way he dresses. Let me tell you what I think is happening here. I think conservatives, they see Trump as like Thaddeus Ross. Thaddeus Ross was what Harrison Ford played in Captain America. But he was also the Red Hulk, right? And we were waiting, we knew because we saw the trailer that at some point, so we were all waiting for that scene for, Thaddeus Ross, Harrison to become the Red Hulk. American conservatives and media, they love seeing Trump be Hulk. They love when he insults people. They love when he calls people stupid. They love it. They love it. They love that. They wanted Trump to turn up. So J.D. Vance kept that question, do you even own a suit? Why would you say that, fam? Because Trump likes to insult. So and Trump was like, well, I like this guy. He's a great guy, but he wouldn't buy into it. He didn't buy into it. And even at the end, Trump was like, look, you're not in a position to say what we're going to experience if we don't help you. I stand by Trump saying that. That would be like, imagine if someone, I'm assuming some of you have children, right? Imagine if you're out chilling, right? And you're talking to someone, you don't know them that well. And let's just say your kid is around and you're like, hey, I'm gonna let him use my phone. So you give him the phone and someone says, hey man, you keep that up, your kid's gonna be stupid. You're gonna ruin your kid's money. Bro, hold on, chill out, bro. You're like, you don't know if that's gonna happen. Like, relax. I mean, that might not be the best example, but when someone tells you what's gonna happen to you if you don't, it's like, hold up, chill out. Trump reacted that way and did that. Trump reacted that way. Believe me, there's many things about Trump I disagree with. And I think he turned up but when someone's interrupting you, and he's an arrogant dude. So you're going to interrupt him. He's going to talk loud. He's going to talk. And also he knows that we're in the power structure here. And J.D. Vance knows that. And that's why he was talking tough. J.D. Vance is not tough for real. But he can talk tough because that's what conservative politics want. The left politics, they don't want you to be tough. They want you to be soft and accept everything and make everything inclusive, every sexuality, every desire that you want to do, you should be able to do and no one should tell you it's wrong. But this right is like, nah, we're going to be the tough guys. Everything's tough love. Everything is, man, get out of my face. So everything's, it's just, they want him to be Thaddeus Ross. They want to be the Red Hulk and they love it. They love it. And that's why it's just crazy. All right. So with that being said, as a Christian, I have to process all of this biblically. And I was thinking about this morning. Like, first of all, there is no sort of one-to-one with this type of stuff, right? But I just thought, how would I process this biblically. And so I want to bring you in. This is what I did. I prayed this morning because I knew I was going to make this video. And I prayed this morning, and this is what I came to. And this isn't a one-to-one of what we just saw, but I want to give you, this is God's word. If you're a Christian, you believe it's God's word. Let me give you God's perspective on this, all right? This is what God says, not about this issue, but just in general, that I think will be beneficial. I prayed through this morning, and I prayed for Zelensky, Trump, Vance, and just world leaders because of this. But listen to what it says here. This 1 Timothy chapter 2. This is God's word. Paul's writing to Timothy, and he says this. First of all, then, I urge that supplications, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgivings be made for all people, right? So that's all people, right? It's not the people you agree with politically. It's the people you don't. It's made for all people. Then he says this, for kings and all who are in high positions. So this is what he said. This is what he's telling us to do. Here's the what. I urge that supplications, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgivings be made for all people, right? And then he says for who? So he tells us what to do. Who do we do it for? For all people, for kings and all who are in high positions. Now, we're not in kings, but kings, you can replace kings with presidents. Simple. He's in the highest position in our country. J.D. Vance is the vice president. If something happens to Trump, that's our president, right? God says, look, supplications, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgiving. So we thank God for these people. We pray for their well-being. We pray in general, and then we ask, we have certain requests for them, right? So he gives us the what and the who, and then he says why. Why does he want us to make prayers for these people? Then he says this, that we may lead a peaceful and quiet life, godly and dignified in every way. This is good and it is pleasing in the sight of our God, who desires all people to be saved and to come to a knowledge of the truth. So God is saying, look, I want you to pray for people, for all the people who are in high places. That's all the politicians, all of it. And he says for all people, not for the people that you agree with, for all people. And then he says, why do we do that? That we may lead a peaceful and quiet life, godly and dignified in every way. Let me tell you why I think this is pertinent for what we just saw and just the way we need to process the next few, whatever, for as long as we're here, is because we live in a nation where we're so divided now by policy, by left and right. But God's design for us is to pray for people so that we may lead a peaceful and quiet life, godly and dignified in every way. Now, I remember years ago, I was on a podcast with a dude who took that verse to mean that God wants us to pray for politicians to pass particular policies that would allow us to lead a peaceful and quiet life, godly, right? That's what he said it was. I don't think that's what God is saying. That could happen. So I'm not saying that does. I don't think that's only what God's getting at here. When you pray, why do you think Jesus says pray for your enemies? Why do you think he says that? Pray for those who persecute you. Why does he say that? Is it because he doesn't understand how hard it is to... No, he was persecuted. Jesus prayed, Father, forgive them for they know not what they do. They were crucifying. Why does he say pray for your enemies? Pray for those who persecute you. Because when you pray for people, when you're genuinely praying for their well-being, right? When you're praying for their salvation, praying for them, over time, your heart will change. It'll be hard to hate people that you're really praying for. So when God is saying that let us make all these different kinds of prayers, supplications, prayers, intercessions, thanksgivings for kings and all who are, that we may lead it. I don't think he means just so that they make policies that let us. I think he's saying because if we're prayerful, we'll be peaceful, right? He wants us to pray for those who persecute us because we'll be at peace. It's pretty much connected to Romans 12:18. So far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all. God doesn't say, it's so far as it depends on everyone else, let them live. No, we can't make people live peaceably with us, but we can live peaceably with other people. We can live quiet and godly lives and be dignified. This is what God is saying. This is what he wants his people to do, praying for this is a political aficionado prayer. This is it. He's giving us directives for how to carry ourselves politically. So I prayed this morning for Trump, Zelensky, J.D. Vance. I started naming people that I could and just prayed. I tried to go through it because I would love for them to be saved, and who knows what could happen if that happened. But I also want to live a peaceful, and I don't think that God can change them and they pass laws that are peaceful. But let's just be clear, because our policy is so divided, if you pass laws that I think are peaceful, they're going to offend someone else and it's not going to be peaceful. I don't think what God is talking about here is that laws will play for these guys so they can treat us. I think he's saying if we're praying, right, if we're giving thanksgiving to God for people, that will lead a peaceful and quiet life. And you know why I'm saying that? Because look at verse 3. This is good. It is pleasing in the sight of God our Savior, who desires all people to be saved and to come to a knowledge of the truth. So God wants us to live peaceful, quiet lives and dignified, because that's a part of what other people will see that and they'll be saved by our willingness to pray across the aisle, our willingness to give thanks to God across the aisle, our willingness to make supplications across the political aisle. This is what God is after. Ultimately, us living peaceful, quiet, and godly lives from God's perspective is connected to the possibility of people being saved and coming to the knowledge of the truth. But when we're like, yeah, get him, Trump, this guy owes you, when we're doing that, that's not peaceful, that's not quiet, that's not godly. And this is what's happening in most of our media. Depending on who you watch, you're going to get outrage on both sides. You can disagree with everything I said, that's fine, but I have no political leaning in this. I have no dog in this fight. I tried to be as objective as possible, and I heard what people said. I listened to both sides, and I thought, I don't see that. I don't see the accusation. I see some things, and I see some other things, and so this is where I'm at. You don't have to be here, but this is how I'm processing things and hoping to honor the Lord in that. So this is already a long video, but I'm gonna go to the tape. There's a lot of comments in here. I might not hit all of them because there's a lot going on. All right. Some of these are going way back, so I'm just going to scroll through these and talk about them. So this show going to be a good one. Thank you, T-Dog. He put that up before the show came up. What? LOL. That's what's up. Agreed. Thank you. We live in wild times. Thank you for your thoughts. I think you're 100%. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Don't let the left fool you. They aren't blind at all. I hear you, man. Gabe, appreciate you, brother. Thank you, man. College student. Dropping all bread. I appreciate that, bro. Thank you, man. Glad I could make it to a live without class or homework interfering. That's what's up, Gabe. I appreciate you, man. These politicians on both sides are really playing with people's lives like it seems. Dion, I think that right now, so far, that is the comment of the night, brother. And that's why I try to make sure that I stay balanced. I'm not going to let people define my morality, right? This is my perspective. Vote your conscience, but don't lose your conscience for a vote. I don't want to have constitutional morality. I want Christological morality. Definitely wild. Wish it could not be the benefit of the party, but the actual people who are the 100%. 100%, Casey. 100%. Glad I could finally tune into a live stream. That's what's up, Dion. I appreciate you, man. Trump is right about people being killed. 100%. He's right. Like, why was that wrong? What are you talking about? He looked disgusted by Trump's response. Casey, I'm with you. He was irritated, man. And I think part of it was because he had met with those because he had been dealing with Democrats and political opposition. People see who Trump is. They get it. Blessings and hello to everyone. Thank you, Believe in Hope. Appreciate you. The whole situation was weird and funny. I agree. But I actually thought, Jose, boom, boom, boom. Appreciate you, bro. I actually thought Trump was presidential. I think the media is just after him. I actually thought that. Grace and peace, everyone. Craig, appreciate that, man. Appreciate that $5, man. I'll tell you, that means a lot. It's irritating listening to Trump speak sometimes. I would agree. I think Trump does so much. He just boasts so much. He just says stuff. Yeah. I'm not trying to insult the dude after I said, yeah, I agree. What a dumb question from this dude. What was the point of that? And what was the point, bro? Who's offended by it's supposed to be a suit, but you said sweet. A lot of people might be offended by a suite, especially the people who had to, the maids who had to come clean it up if you messed the suite up in the hotel. But no, I know you mean suit, brother. I'm just messing with you. Yeah, 100%. That was antagonistic, and I think they wanted Trump to be like, yeah, why aren't you? I think they wanted him. They were baiting Trump. They wanted him. He's Thaddeus Ross. They wanted to see Red Hawk. They wanted him to go. That was uncalled for. That was completely disrespectful from a media perspective. Completely disrespectful. Let's see, Clyde. Yeah, the suit question wasn't helpful. I saw Zelensky meeting with the UK leaders, and he dressed the same. That's just how he dressed. 100%. 100%. But what made it to me was like, you let Elon Musk do that. Elon Musk had on a ball cap, had his little son. His little son was telling Trump to shut up. Have y'all seen that video? Have you seen that joint? He was like, shut up. You're no one. I mean, this joint, I'm going to show y'all that. Not today, not right now. God working in my heart. Amen. All of us, brother. To be fair, they probably think the getup is pure performative. Probably so. You might be right, Jeffrey. You might be right. But I think he wears it everywhere. I think he wears it. But I think that my problem is not that you expected him to wear a suit. My problem is you didn't say anything to Elon Musk. That's the problem. You didn't say anything to Elon Musk. So so the hypocrisy is crazy. I think Trump just favors Putin over things. Why? I don't know why. And this person didn't ask Musk about his appeal. Idol worship much? 100% believe in hope. I'm with you. I can't watch this video no more. Kurt not wearing a suit. Unsubscribe if I'm not wearing a suit. You ain't catching me in no suit. Well said. Well said, DR. I needed that comment. I hear you, brother. All right. Did any Republicans and Democrats ever try to get the leaders from both sides of the war to meet in a safe environment? That's a good question, and I don't think so. What happens is Trump relies on his relationships, but Zelensky is like, I don't trust that because every time we've tried to come to something, this dude goes against the grain. So I don't blame Zelensky for not trusting it. I think Trump got heated when Zelensky said something like, you're at peace because you have a big ocean between you, but in the future, you're not going to feel it. Yeah, I don't think he got heated. I think he was just like, look, man, don't tell us how we going to feel. And that's because Trump is an arrogant dude. Like, don't tell Trump how, I mean, that's just how he is, man. I don't think he got heated. I just think he pushed back. Like, man, don't tell me. I thought Trump, until he got to the last part of it, I thought he was still like, hey, look, man, you don't know that. You're not in a position to do that. Like, I thought, think about that. Trump was calm. He let Zelensky say everything. He didn't really push back. Even when they joked about who gave more Europe, he was like, I was coming. And he kind of touched him like, yeah. He said, no. He said, look, he got a beautiful suit on. This dude was trying to bait him. And Trump was hip. He was like, yeah, I don't think you guys like each other. He was trying to bait him. He was hip. I thought Trump did a great job in this video, actually, to be honest. Word is Zelensky has now agreed one. Yeah, I mean, he has no choice, Richard. He has no choice because he needs America's help. He has no choice. So yeah, that's the world on the street now. It is. This is where all his opinion, 100%, 100%. Watch Trump's face when Zelensky addresses him as JD. Oh man, classic, bro, classic. It's crazy. These types of heated discussions happen all the time between world leaders. That's JV the truth, 100%. We don't really see this. But the reality is Zelensky asked for this press conference. They were supposed to be behind the scenes. He wanted that. And that's why JD is like, you want to litigate this in front of the American media. Because it wasn't supposed to be a press conference. He asked for that. So JD is basically thinking you asked for that because you wanted to make statements to challenge us. But he felt like there's a narrative that you guys are speaking from that I just disagree with because I'm there. When he said to JD Vance, have you come? And he was like, well, I've seen the report. He was like, nah, you ain't been in the country, man. Why it'd be like, can you imagine? I could never go to a seminar called How to Raise Kids That Love the Lord taught by someone who never had kids. I'm sorry. Some things experience matter for it. Yes, you can learn a lot from a dummy. I can learn from someone who's never been married, never had kids. I can learn. But like, experience goes a little bit away. JD hadn't even been there. He said, you've been there one time. So he was talking off the side of his neck for real. Mr. Vance needed to listen and not speak. I totally agree with that. He should not have talked at all. 100, yeah, please, great, right. Everything was good till JD. I think so. JD, Trump want to be, well, JD Vance, he knows that people like that. He knows that they want to see the Red Hulk. They want to see that. And so and if something happens to Trump, he's and think about it. JD's thinking, hey, after these 4 years, I'm trying to run for president. I mean, it makes sense. They're out there snatching up young dudes off the street, rolling up in the van, kidnap style to fight the war. 100%. Like people are just not there. That's what I'm saying. How disrespectful to tell a world leader that. You couldn't, man, JD Vance couldn't even handle, well, anyway. That's like bringing up Dan Snyder when trying to figure out how the Commanders can improve next year. Jeffrey, that comment is close to my heart, brother. That. That's my quarterback. Like I couldn't stand that dude. I couldn't wait till he left. We was over here celebrating. We was over here like we was over here like when Moses was coming on the mountain. Like sounds like whoa, what's going on? We was partying. We couldn't wait for that dude to get out of here. And word is Zelensky didn't have his translator. That exasperated. He did, 100%. At one point he was like, what? He didn't know. That's why he was like, it was just wild, man. It was wild, bro. It was wild. Yeah, JD looked weak saying, I've seen stories. That's what I mean. Like, first you'll say, but if American media says, you'll say, well, that's fake news. It's just that type of stuff is like, bro, be consistent. You know, That's why it's like I've seen YouTube shorts. Like, get out of here, man. That's just crazy. Vance doing the same thing that he's saying Zelensky is doing, being 100%, bro. Disrespectful. All right, I can't hit all these comments because I got to actually get out of here in a second. JD should have sat back. I agree with that 100%. JD clearly took the opportunity to, but 100%. I agree. I'm going to skip some of these. I apologize. Hey, Kurt, Underdog fan, I'm just joining now. Olive Candy, yep. You go back and check it out. Appreciate you. When I play JFK album in the car, people sing it the rest of the day in the house. It's the best. My dude, I appreciate that. I got my last album dropping called Wanted Dead or Alive. That joint's going to be crazy. It's the last joint, last project. It's been a good run. But yeah, I appreciate that, JFK. If you don't know what he's talking about this right here. Where's that bad boy at? Where we at, JFK? Where I took it down? He's talking about this right here. Go pick this up. Streaming everywhere. Go pick this up. JFK, featuring my worship leader. Now we did it fun. I had a good time playing the album. We loved it. Go check this out. You can stream it. I don't even ask you for no bread. But when Wanted Dead or Alive drops, I need y'all to support your boy. That's going to be the joint. Wanted Dead or Alive drops in May, I believe. All right. Let me keep going. Propaganda, one side at its finest. One-sided. Yeah, I appreciate that. On point, Brother Kurt. The only perspective I'm saying all this is biblical. 100%. As a rule, I follow after a critique of someone is pray for their well-being, so I just don't. Well said, Dan. That right there, that's a lesson we all should take. That, I think, would honor the Lord. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to pray for these people and do it in that way. I think this is a crazy reality. And I think if you buy into constitutional morality, you are going to sin against the Lord and people because they're your enemies. You buy into Christological morality, it's like you'll pray for your enemies. And that's what we're supposed to do, man. That's what we're supposed to do. Boom. Richard, appreciate that. Appreciate that, bro. JD sounds like that manipulative boyfriend. He was wilding. He was wilding, fam. This point of view helps a lot. Man, I appreciate that, Clive. Thank you so much. But Kurt, you should go over the video with Elon's kid. I think I am. I think I'm going to have to, fam. I think we're going to do another video tomorrow, and I'm going to show y'all this joint was crazy. It's just, that's what I mean, like, oh, the hypocrisy. I just think it's crazy, fam. I just think it's crazy. Gretel. I know her personally. I appreciate that. I really appreciate this balanced view of what happened. You're right. Both sides of the media are spinning it in their own way. 100%. Listen. Get it from Uncle Curdy Kurt. The media is a merry-go-round, fam. And whoever spun you is who you're going to believe. I just think, look, stay balanced. And I don't mean politically, I mean morally. Don't let your morality be constitutional. Make sure it's Christological. We're trying to honor the Lord. Now, we're trying to be right. Righteous, not right. A lot of the conservative Christians are trying to be right. A lot of the Christians on the Democrat, they're trying to be right. We're trying to be righteous, fam. I'm not trying to be right. So if I'm wrong in my video, okay, fine. I'm good. I'm trying to be righteous, not right. All right, I appreciate y'all. Thank you for watching. And I will see y'all tomorrow. I might do that video, the JD. But I got some other content I got to get y'all. It's time. But I appreciate y'all for watching. Like and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget, join the Patreon. Holler at your boy. Hey, thank you to, I can't remember the name. My dude who hit me with the Venmo. My brother, thank you. That blessed me and my children. Thank you. Thank you for that Venmo. And thank you for the woman who gave me the Cash App. Bless me. Thank you very much. Appreciate y'all. Like and subscribe. I will see y'all, Lord willing, tomorrow. Grace and peace, fam.